Morning, guys. Just gonna bring my mic up. How are you? No, it is not a Jackbox stream. Remember, this is also a true crime channel. I haven't done a lot lately, but this is a really big case, probably the biggest one of 2020. And now that we're getting into 2021, we're looking at some of the different remote hearings for it because of COVID. I anticipate that it is going to be televised through Court TV, which I've got up at the moment. But this is a motion to compel, so basically I'm just going to run through it real quick as to what happened with this. So on the screen it kind of gives you hey Shinon, I haven't seen you in a while, honey. I got a cracking headache. I don't know if I slept the wrong way or what's going on, but there's going to be a bunch of interesting trials this year. George Floyd, jury selection is paused at the moment. Yeah, a whole bunch of different trials, which I'm going to cover. Wells, are you being rude? Just because it's not a Jackbox stream. This is a true crime channel as well. So if you don't like it, you are welcome to go and play a Jackbox game elsewhere. So the two at the top, Laurie Vallow and Chad Daybell, got married end of 2019. This is like Laurie's fourth husband. So you can see Charles Vallow, her ex-husband, deceased. Joseph Ryan is deceased, and there's another ex-husband as well. But she married Chad Daybell at the end of 2019. She had two children. Well, she has more than two children, but two minor children, Joshua Vallow and Tylee Ryan, who went missing. The last time Tylee was seen was September 9th, 2019, and JJ was seen September 23rd, 2019. Basically, just to get through it real quick, the background's traumatizing. So the kids went missing, and the police told her, basically, you need to bring the kids forward and make sure they're okay. She never did that. She went to Hawaii, married Chad Daybell, etc., etc. Fast forward to, I think it was actually my birthday last year, June 9th. They found the kids buried on Chad Daybell's property, near the fire pit at the back of the yard. Laurie and Chad was arrested that day. Laurie was already in jail. She had been sitting in jail when she didn't produce the kids at the beginning of last year. This is just a compelled to tell motion. Yeah, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the weird thing about this case is that everyone around them just keeps dying. So Chad, before he married Laurie, had a wife, Tammy Daybell. She died in strange circumstances. They said it was natural causes, but then they later exhumed her body. And they still haven't given us the results on that, even though they've been back for a few weeks. It took them months to get the results to come back. So that was odd. Now, Laurie Vallow's brother, Alex, he is also deceased. He was found after a couple of months. He actually killed her third husband, Charles Vallow, saying it was self-defense. He was never charged with, murder or manslaughter or anything like that. I mean, it was an open investigation, but they found her brother dead as well. Joseph Ryan, there's no proof there that, anyone was out to kill him. What we kind of think is that her brother, Alex, was the one who killed the kids. So, yeah, it's just a really strange and horrible case. Now, they've done motions to change the venue because they're not going to get a fair trial in Fremont County, which I agree with. This is kind of, today is nothing to do with guilt or innocence. It's more to do with, getting a fair trial. And I talk about that more in the Scott Peterson case and the Justin Ross Harris cases, where it looks like they're getting a retrial this year, because they didn't receive a fair trial. So nothing to do with guilt and innocence per se. Basically just that I'm just keeping an eye on this in this stream, because I know it's not going to be a long motion to compel. So basically, I haven't had my coffee yet, so let me just try and use my brain for a minute. So talking about that, about moving it out of the county so that they can get a fair trial. This has been an international an international case where I don't think it matters where they go. Everyone, most people have heard of this case, particularly in East Idaho where this happened. Now, what the defense has done is created a questionnaire for a potential jury pool, asking questions, and we don't know what those questions are. Saying, do you think that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell can get a fair trial in Fremont County? And basically all this hearing is that the judge wants to know what those questions were that were asked to people in order to determine whether the trial should be moved to another county or whether it should stay in Fremont County. And so it's going to be a pretty quick one, but I'm going to start covering this. It's been a bit dull before now. It's going to start ramping up the sooner, they get going with this. There's been a couple of other hearings, like Lori, because of COVID, she wanted a mobile for a cell phone in her prison cell so that she could call her lawyer. That was denied. But this one, the judge wants to see the questions that the defense is, polling people on. So, and these are the same people that are going to make up the jury pool, and then the jurors that are going to decide the charges against them both. Now, I might have missed something, I'm not sure, but there was a case of joinder. So if you guys don't know what joinder is, it can apply to defendants. It can also apply to charges. So applying for joinder, they wanted to try these two together. So join, and obviously there's an argument that they should be tried separately. It depends how, because they've been charged with conspiracy. I think that's a big reason that they want to charge them together. Hey Ollie, Shine On, she's going to accuse whoever the judges of being a zombie. Oh yeah, that's the other thing with this, guys. Like, these guys are part of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I did a video last year about all of their different beliefs, and things like that. So Laurie believed that, yeah, the children were zombies, and I think this is going to be a motive to kind of murdering them. Is she going to plead insanity? What's going to happen with the whole belief system of the religion? Is it going to stick? You know, or is the defense going to say you should just plead batshit crazy and get on with it? So much stuff in there if you want to go and watch that video from last year. That, you know, some of the investigators on the case were dark spirits and all of this kind of stuff, and that Laurie Vallow was like a chosen one, and it's just I do think one of her calls was accidentally recorded. They did say that they deleted it afterwards, so that might have been the issue about applying for a to have a phone in your cell. But you know, COVID or no COVID, it's probably a bad idea to give a phone to a charged woman who's been sitting in jail now for over a year. So they arrested her at the beginning of last year for not producing the kids, and then the charges have just been racked on since then, conspiracy, and things like that. So, where was I? Yeah, so there's so much to this case that oh yeah, remember they said the war was going to end, was it July something last year, when she was sitting in jail? Well, he was sitting in jail too, because they arrested him on the 9th of June when they found the remains of JJ and Tylee. But yeah, there is so much going on with this case, more than I could even get through in this live. But I'm just having a look at the update. So yeah, Chad was supposed to, his trial was supposed to start in January, but obviously it didn't, and January 25th, 29th was slated for Vallow's trial for the misdemeanor charges, but again, it's all been pushed. It's going to be pushed. They're going to keep pushing it. So I'm just waiting for the hearing to come up. I'm not sure if it's going to come, might be in 20 minutes. So it's going to be on, is it Mountain Time or Pacific Time? I'm not sure. Keeping an eye on the George Floyd trial as well. Jury selection for that has paused at the moment. And so, you have to excuse me, splitting headache. Oh, crap. So, should be right to do a Jackbox stream after this. Just wanted to get through this motion to compel. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, if the judge is asking for what is on these, for what questions are on this poll that they're putting out there for people, then it will definitely be interesting to see how they're wording it, what you know, what kind of questions they're asking people in Fremont County, as to whether these guys can get a fair trial or not. I mean, I don't think they can, and I think they would need to take it, Idaho's, it's either Mountain Time or Pacific Time that this starts. So I think like it might be 3 p.m. Fremont, because Idaho, I'm just gonna have a look. County, Idaho. Idaho has 2 time zones. Okay, so Fremont County is Mountain Time. Alright, so it's almost 4 p.m. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's not going to be a long hearing. The judge just wants to see what's going on with this poll. Whether he will make a decision, that might not happen in this hearing. That might need a completely different hearing as to change of venue. That's alright, Derek. I was like, you're trying to confuse me, but I know that I know this, even though I haven't had coffee. So yeah, it's quite a bizarre case. The consensus definitely is that Alex Cox, was Laurie Bellow's brother, is the one, and I've always said he was probably the one who killed the kids, but under her instructions, but he's not here, so we don't know. That's another good point, Shine On. Yeah, when she and Chad got married in Hawaii at the end of 2019, she bought, it wasn't an expensive ring, was it? She used Charles's, her ex-husband's credit card to pay for the ring. And yeah, she was really happy in Hawaii when people are like, where are your children? Where are your children? And she would make up stories and get other family members to lie for her. And these aren't the only ones who almost ended up dead. Yeah, this is real life. This is crazy. I'll bring up another picture, because the live's not on yet. Okay, so this is another one which is a good guide. I mean, you've got Laurie and Chad who got married, and this is his ex-wife, Tammy Daybell, on the right, who died apparently of natural causes. And then last year, like I said, they exhumed her body to retest because, so many people are dying around them. Joseph Ryan is another one of her ex-husbands. He died in 2018. He can't be exhumed. Melanie Bordeaux is Laurie's niece. She plays a lot into this as well. And left her husband in the bottom right, Brandon Bordeaux. Now he's remarried. He did an interview last year, and it was actually his testimony in their divorce that told a lot about the details of what Laurie Bellow and Chad Daybell believed in the Church of Latter-day Saints, about people having darkness and thinking that the children were zombies and all of this kind of stuff. So there was an attempt on his life as well. I mean, luckily he's alive, but he went into hiding with the children, his and Melanie's children, or Melanie, or whatever you want to call her, with the children, because someone who was driving Charles Vallow's car. I know this is hard to keep up with for people who are new, but the other ex-husband's car attempted to shoot him on October 2nd of 2019. Now, this was only a few weeks after the kids went missing too. So once again, we think that was probably Laurie's brother, Alex Cox. And yeah, so more people okay, Nabil, no worries. Probably be back with the Jackbox stream after this. I'm not anticipating this to be a long hearing. And it does sound like a bad sci-fi movie because it had so many components that you never see. And, you know, normally, I mean, I hate to say it, but normally people are used to just, like, regular, you know, murders and things like that. But then when you've got multiple people around these two dying, his ex-wife, a couple of her ex-husbands, 2 missing kids, then found murdered, her brother, you know, you've got to wonder. It's like, how many are coincidence and how many of these are murders? And then on top of that, all of the stuff they believed, which is not true to the, you know, the Latter-day Saints' beliefs, but this is just some kind of warped version of what they believed and things like that. Yeah, and yeah, that's true too, Sean. On Tammy, Chad's ex-wife, warning everyone of an incident in her driveway, yet she almost ended up shot. And that still wasn't enough for them to exhume her. That still came months later. We waited months and months and months and months for the second autopsy results to come back, and they only came back a couple of weeks ago to say inconclusive, or these guys aren't telling the media if they found anything in the second autopsy. So, you know, it's just strange. Did they find anything, and are they holding it back, or was there nothing to say? Because remember, they said she died of natural causes and that. But man, if someone tried to shoot her as well, it was probably Alex as well, because she was one of the first ones to die, and then, you know, her husband's off, or her widow is off marrying Laurie in Hawaii, and by then the kids are gone. That's fine, Shana. You know a lot about this case too. And you know, I hate to think that this is the world we live in. And that's why I cover this case, because I think it's an exception. And why I think it's garnered international coverage. So where can they possibly go to get a fair trial and an impartial jury? Because I can't think of anywhere in East Idaho they could go, so it will be interesting to see. I'm pretty sure that they will get a change of venue, but what's going on here? Sorry, it was just delaying for a minute there. So I'm hoping that this Zoom meeting is going to start in about 8 minutes. Does anyone have any questions about this case? It's just, it's just crazy. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to look at. So the charges. So she was arrested February 20th last year. Like I said, she's been in jail over a year. And the charges were 2 felony counts of desertion and non-support of dependent children. That's what put her in jail, because she didn't produce the kids. And so they're felonies. And then the 3 misdemeanors, which were supposed to be heard at the beginning of this year but haven't been heard, was resisting or obstructing officers, criminal solicitation to commit a crime, and contempt of court. And she tried to have her bail reduced, etc., etc. And that was denied. And then, I woke up on my birthday. Actually, well, it was still my birthday in the States, but it was the next day here. And they were searching Chad Daybell's home. They'd already searched his home earlier in the year, but because it was all snowed over and that, they didn't find anything. And so when they came back in June and they were digging, the ground had defrosted and things like that, they found human remains buried in a pet cemetery. There were other animal bones and stuff in there. And Chad was arrested that day and charged with obstruction or concealment of evidence, and then later charged with felony murder. And so then, after that discovery, the prosecutors dropped the charges against Laurie for desertion and non-support of dependent children, and charged her with the same charge that they gave Chad Daybell, which was the obstruction or concealment of evidence in regards to her children's remains. So because that happened, they did lower her bond from $5 million to $1 million. Before that, it had been denied because she still had the old charges. And so those are the charges that are currently there for the two. Note that there aren't murder charges. There is conspiracy to conceal evidence and charges to conceal evidence. But which I think could still put them in jail for a very long time, but and we need to work out here too, being tried separately or with joinder, is who had what part in what. Yeah, he sent a text message on the day that they think that the kids were, or at least one of the kids was murdered. That he was out the back, and he texted Laurie's brother, saying something about burning the limbs, and they thought it meant tree limbs, but maybe that meant human limbs. And the neighbours remember seeing the fire pit being used several times around that time frame, and it hadn't been, even in winter and that you would think that in winter you would use it, or things like that. So it was just weird that they were suddenly using the fire pit. So yeah, they had tried to burn the bodies. And yeah, Chad was a former grave digger. So he knew how to he knew how to do all of that, and there were different layers. And so what caused this warrant for this second look at Chad Daybell's property was indeed, as Shinon says, Laurie Vallow's brother Alex stupidly took his phone to the property, and it had been pinging there. And so that was enough to, I think, get the second search going on the case. Which, you know, they didn't come out with anything 6 months earlier because, like I said, it was all snowed over. It was all, you know, they couldn't dig or anything like that. So, hey Andrew, doing one of these what court coverage. Yeah, I'm gonna do games after this. It's only gonna be a short hearing, I believe. They usually are. With these remote hearings, this isn't a trial, so I'm talking so much my cigarette keeps going out. So I'd say they should be back with it. I couldn't find what time it was actually starting, but I'm anticipating it's going to be a 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Oh yeah, I've just got this playing in the background because while I'm talking about the case. Was never really brought up, was it, Shinon? I mean, the theory I have is was he, you know, the hitman for all of these people? Did he kill Tammy? Did he kill the kids? We know he killed her ex-husband, but he says in self-defense. Yeah, I've done a fair bit of live coverage. Nothing really major this year. I'm covering the Justin Ross Harris retrial and the Scott Peterson retrial this year. And that's what I was talking about before, guys, about joinder, about that you can have, you know, multiple defendants being tried in the one trial. Depending on their level of culpability, if it's similar, then they're probably going to go for joinder for a few different reasons. You know, it's less of a stress on resources, and it's cheaper and easier on a jury, you know, so many things. But speaking of joinder, you can also have joinder in charges, and that's the main issue around the Justin Ross Harris retrial. Is he was on his way to work. It was a different pattern in the morning, and basically he forgot to take his son to daycare, and he left him in a hot car all day, and the child died. Now, he was charged with malice murder in Georgia, malice murder and felony murder. It's the same thing. But he had also been sexting and having affairs with 6 other different women and prostitutes as well. He was cheating on his wife. Was he a shitty husband? Yeah, absolutely. But what they're arguing is that the prosecution went and joined on the charges. So they tacked all of the one of the girls was underage. She was 16, so they went and tacked all of those charges on to the same trial as the felony and the malice murder. And what the defense is saying is that prejudiced the jury's, you know, perception of him, that, you know, and that he should have had 2 separate trials, one for murder or, you know, whatever it may have been, for leaving Cooper in the hot car, and a separate trial for texting and sexting and sending, you know, naughty pictures and that to an underage girl, which is fair enough, and that's the reason. They're arguing joinder in that one to get a retrial this year. I personally, that's probably the only case where I think that he's innocent of the malice and felony murder charges, and that actual trial's in my playlist. The full trial, it's quite long. It goes for like a month. But it's worth watching. And I do think he was innocent of that. But a jury found him guilty. And he's been in jail since 2015. Oh, Shannon, I think it's just because I haven't done really any true crime this year. Or not a lot. I have done some, but the last 2 months I've just been doing gaming. And so I guess a lot of the new people that have come along maybe either didn't realise that I didn't do true crime, or they've never seen it, or they were expecting something else this morning. Which I still do, but well, going back to that Justin Ross Harris one, yes, he was found guilty of the sexual charges against a minor. I agree with those, 32 years, but he received life without parole plus 32 years. So, just watching what's on screen now, it's just scary. It's just really, really, really scary. I haven't had a look into the George Floyd one yet. I'm not sure why they're pausing the jury selection at the moment. It could be a million things, that they're holding off on. But just watching this footage again of Floyd, it's just brings back memories of just a terrible year. I was on this George Floyd case. I understand that gradually there is a change in perception in America about officers being charged. Gradually we are seeing convictions like Amber Geiger in Texas. Sorry, no coffee. Trying to think of the names. There's another one in Chicago, and Roy Oliver. They were all convicted for shooting unarmed black men in 2019, but at the same time there's still this old boy system, particularly in places like Texas and things like that, where law enforcement stick together and protect each other. And in this particular case, I think you see it with the prosecution and law enforcement as well. Because what you see here about Chauvin being charged with murder and manslaughter, that normally comes from the defense. It doesn't normally come from the prosecution, but in this case, manslaughter was offered by the prosecution, which is absolutely disgusting to me, and it furthers the narrative of this old boy system where they will protect their own. And look, I think we've come a long way. We went a long time without getting convictions for police brutality and things like that in America. And it's great to see some juries, coming forward and convicting based on the evidence. But when the prosecution is putting up manslaughter here as an option in the death of George Floyd, it blows me away, but at the same time it doesn't surprise me, because this is the old boy system in all its glory. It's basically saying to a jury, right, you can give him this sense that this is something that normally the defense would want put up or would try and get on the table, manslaughter, which I don't know what the maximum sentence is, but it's, if he gets that, it's not life in prison. It's, so, thanks, Shannon. Yeah, it's just, it just does take a lot of, it's not so much about the time. I've got enough time. It's just the energy, the mental clarity and that it takes to, investigate a case or dig into it or, anything like that, because there are so many different facets to it and so many different people to talk to and get their take on it, and so much evidence and all the rest of it that yeah, Gina, it is, I mean, there's, I'm only shocked because, I don't know, because I'm used to seeing it come from the defense, to try and put manslaughter on the table. That's a defense move. You want to get okay, your client might be guilty, but you want to get them the least amount of time as possible. That's pretty much a defense's job. If the evidence shows clearly that, Chauvin did something wrong, which he did. I think there's plenty of evidence there that the whole thing's on camera from multiple angles. It is a lot more. I do call it the $20 murder though, because it's kind of what it feels like, people want to concentrate on how Floyd was a criminal, and if he wasn't passing counterfeit bills and things like that this wouldn't have happened. And unfortunately that's not the case. It is a lot. It's a lot more than that. Yeah, Gina, I don't even know why I'm shocked. I shouldn't be shocked, but to see that come from the prosecution, I mean, look at Amber Geiger. She got 10 years and this is in Texas, no less. Now, there was old boy stuff going on there. The prosecution was like, don't make any public comments or interviews or anything like that, or for the defense too, whilst this trial's going on. Yet that's exactly what the prosecution did in that case. They went, and one of the guys went and spoke to the media about it. I think it was to purposefully kind of give her a bit of a break. Now, that, if you don't remember, that was the off-duty cop who said she thought she was going into her apartment. She was a floor below, was it? Or above? I can't remember. And the door latch wasn't working properly. She thought it was her apartment. She went in. Botham Jean was sitting on his couch eating ice cream. She thought someone was in her apartment and she shot him. Now she got 10 years. And she'll be out earlier than that. But that did show a little bit of, old boy kind of system. But at the same time, prosecution didn't put manslaughter as an option on the chart, for the juries to consider. So I think that's why I was a little bit shocked to see that when I heard that this manslaughter offer to Derek Chauvin came from the prosecution. And then I wasn't shocked, if that makes sense. Oh, thanks, Shannon. Yeah, it'd be good to catch up. It would be great. Coffee cake. Is that coffee and cake or coffee? Blaine, hey, how are you? I don't know. Look, there's gonna be huge uproar if that is the case. Sensitivity training. Look, I agree here that a lot of them are not trained properly or undertrained. We've seen a lot of the training modules and methods that they use to be either incorrect or outdated, and it's just mind-boggling that education within law enforcement hasn't changed. It doesn't seem to have changed. No, it's okay, Gina. That's what these potty kind of casts are for. I guess it's 9:15, so I guess it's going to be more like 4:30 Mountain Time for the Chad Daybell hearing. So yeah, that just goes to show it's good. This isn't a trial. They're not running into the night time with jury, deliberations or getting evidence out, and going overtime. So that just tells me that this is going to be less than half an hour for this Zoom hearing. Ben, Chauvin had been charged? Yeah, but what I was talking about was the old boy system, how prevalent it is. The prosecution has put manslaughter on the table, not the defense, which to me just goes to show that even though we've come a long way with bringing law enforcement to trial, there's still a long way to go as far as the justice element, bringing them to justice goes. And I think the old boy system is going to get in the way time and time again, particularly in southern states. I think it's more prevalent. Yeah, it's 9:15 here, and what day is it? Tuesday? I think. Yep, Tuesday, 9th of March. So I wasn't too sure when this coverage was gonna start, but I'm guessing it's gonna have to be 4:30 Mountain Time. I mean, I can't imagine the courts going over business hours for a remote hearing like this one, because it's just a motion to compel. So I'm anticipating it's going to be short. Ben, you drunk? Yeah. So, just talking law stuff and trials and things like that. Yes, definitely other side of the date line. I tell you, I need coffee. I was going to turn this up, but it's on ads, so... Yeah, the daylight savings is weird. I'm so glad we don't have it. I'm so glad we don't have the daylight savings. But the whole half an hour thing, it's just annoying. Like, why can't it just be like an hour? Why does it have to be... I mean, I understand science. Don't take that as... I don't understand, because I do, but it's like, why does it have to be half an hour? It's just really annoying. Or an hour and a half. Yeah, I know. But we need that 30 minutes. And, yeah. Alright, I'm going to top my drink up. I'll be able to make coffee when it's playing, but I don't want to leave you guys for too long. I guess I can bring this up now. I'll bring this up momentarily.
Question. Well, we want to hear from you.
All right,
You can get in touch with us at feedback@newsy.com anytime.
I'll be able to
Newsy, be informed, not
when it's
influenced.
playing, but I don't
What
want
do
to
you
leave
think
you guys
the
for
future looks like?
We see the storms getting worse.
Bad
news is
sound
you're
off
in
on
prison.
YouTube.
More people are coming into VR every day.
Oh,
Are we in a
next-
killer robots arms race right
next
now?
Sunday. Okay. Then I've got to do my math all over again.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. George Floyd's criminal past came up today in court. The defense argued that Floyd's 2019 arrest should be admitted into the trial because in that previous arrest, he allegedly ingested drugs, as they said he did during the arrest May 25th, 2020. Take a listen.
34, Your Honor, is just our request to make an offer of proof. The court previously dealt with, obviously, the 404B motions that we brought relevant to the May of 2019 arrest of Mr. Floyd. The court, in its order, it issued sort of a summary order and had indicated that a memorandum would be filed by the court stating the reasons why certain 404Bs were admitted and others were rejected. We've just not received that order. What I expect, however, Your Honor, is that there has been significant developments in this regard, at least with respect to the defense perspective, that we would like to supplement our record, ultimately ask for reconsideration of based upon that new information. That was not available at the time that we brought that motion.
All right, why don't you go ahead and do that now?
Sure. So, Your Honor, and again, I'm simply, I am speculating as to the court's rationale as to why the previous arrest of Mr. Floyd was denied. However, my speculation is that the court considered our analysis, our statement of facts to be somewhat speculative as to whether or not Mr. Floyd had drugs in his mouth at the time of his arrest. Since the court issued its order, The defense discovered and went and inspected Squad 320 of the Minneapolis Police Department. In reviewing photographs of Squad 320, there appeared to be white substances throughout the back seat of the squad car. So myself and some of the other defendants' attorneys and our investigators went to inspect Squad 320. It was very apparent that what was in Squad 320 was controlled substances. The state of Minnesota then subsequently had those substances taken out of the squad car and tested. They are, in fact, methamphetamine and fentanyl, and they contain the DNA of George Floyd. So they are partially chewed up pills. In addition, Your Honor, the additional evidence that was discovered, the state executed a second search warrant on the Mercedes-Benz that was being driven by Mr. Floyd, and located in the center console of the Mercedes-Benz were 2 pills that were identical to the 2 pills that, or appeared to be identical to the pills that were in Squad 320. Those pills were analyzed, and those pills also contained methamphetamine and fentanyl. So ultimately, if we look at this particular incident, in what the state argued was speculative, that our screenshots that we had submitted to the court in connection with that 404B, was it gum, was it something else, was it drugs? I think the question has been answered, that we now know for a fact that there were drugs that were in the car. We know that there were drugs in the squad car that contained Mr. Floyd's DNA, and that those drugs in both of those cars were identical to the drugs that were in Mr. Floyd's system at the time of autopsy. So in that regard, Your Honor, if we liken it and we go back to what happened in May of 2019, when Mr. Floyd was pulled over, put a large amount of drugs in his mouth, he was taken into a squad car. He was then ultimately hospitalized, where he had to be physically restrained by hospital staff. And so it would be our intention to provide the court with all of those additional records, just simply as a supplemental offer of proof in that regard.
And you can make that offer of proof by filing those, but the question I have for you, and this is so you don't have to speculate as the court's ruling, what 404B exception does all this go to? What does it establish that is an element of the crime here?
Well, it establishes a modus operandi, essentially, of Mr. Floyd, and when Mr. Floyd is apprehended, or at least in one prior incident, when he was arrested by the Minneapolis Police Department, he did the exact same thing that he did here. And when we get into the question of his cause of death, is he actively ingesting narcotics that would potentially cause his death?
Well, does it really go to that, though? And I'm asking this, you know the file better. It could have been. I don't think the state's contesting the fact that fentanyl and methamphetamine were found in Mr. Floyd's blood after his death. Is that correct, Mr. Frank? And
Okay, just bringing it up now, guys.
I think, are what Dr. Baker's going to talk about. Why does it matter that he took it in response to police action?
no, I haven't seen the autopsy specials, Andrew, but that could be good. Hang on, I've got 50 million links open here. Sorry guys, I've just gotta find where it starts. Okay, almost got it. Okay, so a bit of a lag here because I'm using OBS, not StreamYards.
Mr. Pryor, Mr. Means. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Judge. Mr. Wood. Good afternoon. The family has scheduled on some motions on these cases. Before we start this matter, I need to discuss with counsel, Mr. Means and Mr. Wood. I'd like to just have a brief discussion off the record in a breakout room. So, Madam Clerk, if you could arrange for a breakout room, I'd invite Mr. Wood and Mr. Means to join. If you'll hold tight for a minute there, Mr. Pryor will come back on and commence.
Let's try and get this back up.
So you, Mr. Wood, and Mr. Means, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I have it correct.
Yeah, we've got some good candy. Okay. Let's bring in this forward because they were in recess quite a bit.
Eileen, can you hear me?
Yes, Rob.
So the judge would like me, Mr. Pryor, and the court reporter to go into the breakout room. I don't know.
The court reporter and Mr. Pryor. Okay.
Yes.
In a new room, right?
Well, I think just the one that the judge and Mr. Means are in right now, if that's possible.
Okay. Oh, sure.
Okay.
We're back on the record here, or we're in the main room, not in the breakout room. What we're trying to accomplish here is a breakout room with the court reporter, me, Mr. Means, and Mr. Pryor, and Mr. Wood.
And they stuff around so much trying to get their room sorted. I reckon they spend more time doing that than the actual motion to compel itself. At least I can get through this. Did they even manage to get this done, or do they have to reschedule?
About time.
Yeah, Tim Tams are good, Andrew. I suggest those. They're a good biscuit, but there's all different flavours. I got my coffee now.
All right, once everyone's back in the main session here, we are ready to get started.
About time.
Yum, pizza. Alright. It took them a good 45 minutes.
Now. Clerk, reporter, are you both ready?
Judge, this is Mary. I'm ready.
Thank you.
Yes, we're on, Judge.
Okay. We'll be on the record here. These are cases CR 222755, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell, and Fremont County case CR 2220-838, State versus Lori Vallow. Representing Mr. Daybell is Mr. Pryor. Mr. Means represents Mrs. Vallow. Mr. Wood represents the state in these cases. We have motions scheduled for today, including state's motions in limine, as well as a motion to compel. We also have scheduled a state's motion for remote testimony of a witness. In addition, we've got hearings scheduled on March 22nd relating to defendant's motions to change venue and a currently pending motion to dismiss. We had a discussion outside of the presence of the recording here. It was reported by the court reporter, and I'll note, due to the nature of the discussion, the reporting of that discussion will be sealed, but we did take a record of our discussions. After discussions with both counsel and in consideration of what's been presented to the court does find good cause at this time to vacate the currently scheduled hearings that are set for today, as well as vacating our hearings that are scheduled for March 22nd. The court will set a status conference, which we can use for further scheduling, on April 7th at 1:30. And council, that will be conducted by Zoom, as today's hearing was also conducted by Zoom pursuant to our Supreme Court's operating order. So that's all we're going to take up on the matter today. Mr. Wood, do you have anything further from the state to discuss this afternoon on the cases?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Pryor, anything further today?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Means, anything else?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thanks. That will conclude our matters for this afternoon then. Thanks for your attendance, everyone. Thanks for the assistance of the Supreme Court for your technical help in Fremont County. With nothing further on the docket, we'll go ahead and be in recess.
Okay, wow. Yeah. I don't even know.
Basically 45 minutes of tech work trying to get into a side room for what, a couple of minutes of housekeeping, essentially, for other, you know, for upcoming freaking dates and things like that, which is good to get the dates, but what happened to my frame and my background? Sorry, my stuff went funny. I'm used to using StreamYards instead of OBS. So all of that for freaking just a couple of minutes of just, we're gonna do this, and this. So they obviously didn't do what that motion to compel was supposed to do. So I guess we'll just keep following it. Alright, give me a couple of minutes, guys, and I'll be back with a new stream for Jackbox. I hope they get this shit together next time, because it's just painful trying to go through that, and only to find out that they, like, seriously, it's the end of the day and they want to go home, and that's just what it feels like. But I'll keep everybody updated on this case. Hopefully it'll go to trial soon. It won't keep getting pushed. Thanks for coming in. I know, it's crazy. It's stupid. Honestly, if I hadn't known that, I wouldn't have bothered. It's just ridiculous. But not surprising. I've seen them fart ass around so many times. Alright, thanks for coming in, guys. If you want to come